Hi, guys. You know, I always feel a little unqualified to be up here. I look at all of you and I see accomplishment and promise, and I'm reminded of something my college roommate said to me, which was, you know what, Holshoe? You might have the lowest high school GPA of any student at this university. There were 40,000 students at that school. In fact, one of the ironies of my life is that while I've been to a lot of your graduations, I've never attended one of my own. I remember arguing with my mom at the end of college, and I said, graduation's stupid. Why would I want to spend my night in a sweaty gym with a bunch of students I'm never going to see again? And she said, Joe, are you stupid? Has it dawned on you that your graduation isn't just about you? There was evidence that I was dumb. Still fresh in her mind was the high school student who had intentionally crashed his car into a friend who had blocked his way out of a parking spot, or who just a couple of months before that had called her from the police station at 2 a.m. after a prank had escalated. More recently, I was the guy who had spent every night of the previous summer on a pier until sunrise talking to this beautiful, willowy blonde girl, terrified to kiss her because I thought she didn't like me, but just liked talking on piers until sunrise. And I was the guy who 1 year later was going to be fired from his first real-world gig and then spend the entirety of his 20s working a series of miserable jobs out of some strange allegiance I had to an idea when I was 15 years old. So yes, I was very dumb. But before you feel too smug, I want to assure you that I'm not the only dumb one in this room tonight. Because that dumbness, while the flavor of it was all my own, wasn't just a byproduct of being me. It wasn't just a byproduct of being young, it was a byproduct of being human. William Shakespeare said, Lord, what fools these mortals be, or maybe you prefer Albert Einstein, who said, only two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not so sure about the universe. We make big plans that we're too afraid to start, we try to win arguments by shouting just a little bit louder, and we hold grudges for too long. But we also know that this folly can't be the whole story. Sure, we read horoscopes, but we also build cathedrals that stand for 1,000 years. We lock our keys in our cars and land rovers on Mars. We rescue strangers, write symphonies, admit when we're wrong, and we hold the hands of the dying. And that tension, our capacity to be both absurd and astonishing, is the tension at the heart of being human. There's this wonderful piece of advice, this piece of wisdom, and of all places, the instructions to the ACT. It says, read what you have written to be sure it says what you want it to say. Ernest Hemingway rewrote the ending of Farewell to Arms 47 times. The first draft of Toy Story was so mean-spirited that Pixar almost never became a company, and in the original script for Star Wars, Han Solo had gills, and there was no such thing as the Force. The older I get, the more it seems that every good thing starts with embarrassing first drafts, which brings me to you all and to high school. When you think of who you were the first time you walked into this gym, awkward, unsure, pretending to be cooler than you felt, I bet that today you only barely recognize that person. Because in these last 4 years, you've experimented. You've experimented with how to be. You've shaved your head, dyed your hair, changed your pronouns, maybe changed them back. You've fallen in and out of friendships and in and out of love. You've overshared, under-apologized, bombed tests, stood up for classmates, lied to your parents, and you told the truth when it cost you. And every once in a while, you paused, looked around, and when you were dissatisfied, revised. Read what you've written to be sure it says what you want it to say. And I hope that sitting here tonight, you're proud of what you've written. But I also hope you know that this revision doesn't stop here. You may have been told that these years are the best years of your life, but I really hope that's not true. Because 4 years from now, I hope that you look back to today and only see the roughest draft of what you've become. And then I hope that you do the same thing 4 years after that, and then again 4 years after that. Because the only real piece of advice that I have for you tonight is that we are all constantly endlessly in the process of revision. 40 years in, I think that revision might be the only trick. I still do stupid things, and I do them all the time. Last winter, I tried to back my car out of the garage without ever opening the garage door. Last week, I fell through a hole in the family hay loft, and even right now, I'm thinking of 2 tins of biscuits in my backpack, in my car, in the sun, that are definitely going to have exploded by the time I get out of here tonight. But I also slowly have revised. I quit that series of miserable jobs and I went back to school to teach. I've been here ever since. I filled my life with good books and good people and good students and good dogs, and I've learned something from every single one of them. And that blonde girl who likes talking until the sun comes up, I married her on that same pier. Yeah. It's disgusting. All right. Read what you've written to be sure it says what you wanted to say. The other half of what my mom said back when I was graduating from college, the part about today not being for you, I think that's only partially right. There's 400 of you here tonight, but there are 4,000 of us here to see you on your way. And I bet you've already noticed that in the past couple of weeks, those people have changed. They have a new sparkle in their eye, a hint of envy in their voice. They linger in conversations with you just a little too long. It's because when we look at you, young, beautiful, full of that potency that's particular to youth, we can't help but be incredibly proud. And while there's nowhere else on earth we'd rather be right now than in here, this gym, with you, tonight, this summer, they belong to you. We just hope that on nights like this, you take a moment to pause, look behind you, and see how far you've come. I want to close by offering one final addendum to that ACT line. Maybe it's implied, but I want to say it just to be sure. After it says, read what you have written to be sure it says what you want it to say, I think it should say, and then rewrite it until it's as good as you can make it. Graduates, tonight, on behalf of the 4,000 people who have loved you into this moment, I want to say, we love you. We're proud of you. We're so excited to see who you'll become. I hope you have a beautiful summer. Congratulations.